Tonight, a major winter storm blasts Ontario and Quebec, closing schools and wreaking chaos on the roads. The heavy snow, wind, and bitter temperatures that caught so many by surprise.
Would it be un-Canadian of me to say I hate it? I absolutely can't stand it.
Mark Carney gets a new deal with China, but still no breakthrough on tariffs.
Our teams have worked hard to put in place the foundation for the new strategic partnership.
The latest on the talks from Beijing. Plus, at issue is here with the risks and rewards for Canada. And Donald Trump finally gets the prize he's been seeking.
I presented the President of the United States the medal.
A Nobel gift, sort of, from Venezuela's opposition leader.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. A brutal day-long storm is just now loosening its grip on parts of Ontario and Quebec after slamming the region with relentless snow that was at times dangerous. So it hit before the morning rush, clogging streets and sidewalks, leading to some pretty scary moments on the roads. Now the work to clean it all up and stay warm as the temperatures sink. For many, the weather brought absolute chaos. For others, it brought one of those rare gems, a snow day when classes were canceled. Lisa Shing takes us through it all.
Even before the sun came up, a blanket of snow already piling up just in time for a messy commute.
Would it be un-Canadian of me to say I hate it? I absolutely can't stand it.
20 to 40 centimeters were expected to fall through much of southern Ontario, stretching from Windsor to Toronto to Ottawa, forcing the closure of multiple highways, leaving police dealing with hundreds of crashes. A train hit a snowplow in Toronto. A car collided with a tractor trailer on a major highway north of the city. And in eastern Ontario, at least 20 vehicles caught in a pileup that sent a child to hospital.
We're dealing with a collision scene that has multiple tractor trailers, multiple vehicles of all sorts, cars, pickup trucks, everything, you name a type of vehicle, it's probably in there somewhere.
Definitely received well over 100 calls, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down.
Through it all, tow truck companies were out in full force.
All of our drivers who are scheduled for the daytime shift are out on the road, so we are nearly at full capacity.
All that snow also incapacitated some public transit, calling for some creative thinking from commuters.
For me to be able to help the injured workers that I do, I need to get on my snowshoes and get to the office.
I'm probably going to get there faster walking than I am getting a bus today.
Using a new color-coded system, Environment Canada issued a second-tier orange alert to warn of the weather.
Really, it represents the fact that this is going to have hardship for everybody.
But with many schools closed for the day, kids still manage to find the fun.
Pretty hard to toboggan, but it's also very fun playing in the snow.
Adrian, even after a full day of this, I can tell you it's still cold, the plows are still out, and people are still shoveling.
And so, hey, here's the great news. More snow could be coming.
In Toronto, we could see up to 5 centimeters overnight, and that could continue over the weekend as well. And that's why the city is preparing, meaning more staff, extra equipment, and more coordination between city departments.
Okay, thank you. That's Lisa Shing. That storm also slammed parts of Quebec, creating all kinds of headaches for drivers and transit riders. Plows were out in force in the Gatineau area, where up to 35 centimeters of snow was expected. In Montreal, that number was more like 15, with the difficult driving conditions leading to several crashes on the roads. Well, health officials in Alberta have ordered an inquiry into the death of a man in an Edmonton emergency room. He died last month while allegedly waiting 8 hours for care. As Julia Wong explains, this comes as hospital emergency rooms are under deep strain and there are growing calls to the province to do something.
A united front from Alberta health officials after weeks of public scrutiny. Alberta's emergency department and acute care hospitals are under extraordinary pressure.
A bad flu season on top of an already strained system has some hospitals running at more than 100% capacity. Doctors have been sounding the alarm. The province says it's been adding beds, bringing in more emergency room triage staff, and transferring patients out of acute care.
It was not perfect. There were challenges. We can, of course, do better, and we will learn and do better.
I think there's a lot of work that remains.
Doctors say it helps, but fixes do not happen overnight.
What will build trust is the actions that come out of this, what we see over the next coming weeks and months.
Thursday's provincial update comes more than 3 weeks after 44-year-old Prashant Srikumar died in an Edmonton ER after his family says he waited 8 hours to see a doctor. Now, a judge will oversee a fatality inquiry.
I also have concerns and unanswered questions about the death of Mr. Srikumar that need to be investigated further.
The family's lawyer says it's the right thing to do.
Hopefully it will provide the family with some answers, and hopefully it will direct and provide some change that will benefit other people that might find themselves in similar circumstances.
When you ask Albertans, opinions about healthcare are mixed. Do you think Alberta hospitals right now can cope with demand?
No. I think they need help.
Are you comfortable going to an emergency room in the province right now?
I am, yes. I know that everyone there is doing their best.
Are you confident in the province's healthcare system?
I'm not. I'm totally not.
The Alberta government says emergency room numbers are starting to come down and influenza activity is declining, though it admits more work still needs to be done. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
Tonight, Mark Carney meets China's President Xi Jinping, the first time a Canadian Prime Minister has been hosted in Beijing in 9 years. Ashley Burke takes us to the high-stakes diplomatic push for a new partnership in some uncertain times.
Mr. Prime Minister. A historic moment not seen for almost a decade. A Canadian Prime Minister alongside China's President in the Great Hall of the People. Beijing opening the doors to Canada after years of diplomatic tension to reset relations.
Prime Minister Carney, welcome to China.
Carney told China's president he's pleased they're moving ahead with a new strategic partnership.
Mr. President, together we can build on the best of what this relationship has been in the past to create a new one.
The two countries signing or renewing a series of non-binding agreements, including more cooperation on clean and conventional energy like oil and gas. It marks the start of talks at a ministerial level, which a Canadian official says hasn't happened for close to a decade. But no new commitments so far for exports of Canadian energy to China.
They are very clear they would like more Canadian energy products.
We're now in a new era of partnership with China.
Partnerships, but so far no sign of a resolution to an ongoing tariff dispute.
And do you see a breakthrough as being possible this visit?
There's still negotiation happening.
Beijing wants Canada to drop its tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles that match American tariffs. Carney is under immense pressure from Canadian industry to get relief from China's retaliatory tariffs, which are hitting products including canola. Saskatchewan's Premier Scott Moe, joining Carney in Beijing, is raising expectations some sort of a deal could be reached.
For this trip, this is the beginning of a process. We're not going to see an immediate resolution, but we likely will see some progress or some signals in terms of where they're heading.
At this point, publicly, there is no sign of a breakthrough, and Canadian officials won't say what they're willing to do to get there. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Beijing.
Mark Carney's trip to Beijing will top the agenda for Althea, Chantal, and Andrew, back for their first at-issue panel of the new year. That's coming up in about 20 minutes. Well, Minneapolis is on edge tonight as Donald Trump threatens to invoke the Insurrection Act and send in the U.S. military. This follows a second shooting there in just 1 week involving a federal immigration agent. Katie Simpson shows us the clashes and the growing backlash.
Shame! 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 There is no end to the unrest in sight. Police in riot gear move in on protesters. Attempts are made to subdue some in the crowd. Tensions already raw. The Trump administration is now considering sending in the military. On social media, President Donald Trump demanded the professional agitators and insurrectionists stop attacking the patriots of ICE who are only trying to do their job, or else he'll institute the Insurrection Act. The White House accusing political opponents of creating an unsafe environment.
I think the president's Truth Social post spoke very loud and clear to Democrats across this country, elected officials who are using their platforms to encourage violence against federal law enforcement officers.
The Insurrection Act would allow Trump to use military forces to subdue civil disorder. It was used by Abraham Lincoln during the U.S. Civil War and 3 different presidents during the Civil Rights Movement.
It feels like fascism. It feels like Donald Trump's trying to strengthen his grip on this nation.
1 week after an ICE agent shot and killed Renee Good. Protesters and police clashed after a second shooting by an ICE agent who fired at a Venezuelan migrant. Authorities say the agent was ambushed and assaulted with a shovel and a broomstick.
I would say that our agent is beat up, he's bruised, he's injured.
The head of Homeland Security also broadly defended the actions of ICE, including when agents approach individuals looking to verify their identity. She says it's by the books.
Every single action that our ICE officers take is according to the law and following protocols that we have used for years.
Get the fuck out of our city!
But residents are encouraged to keep recording ICE agents for possible future prosecutions.
Help us create a database of the atrocities against Minnesotans.
The law firm representing Renee Good's family is also demanding authorities preserve all evidence, including videos and communications. In a letter sent to federal officials, it stated they anticipate bringing legal action against the United States of America.
And Katie, this comes as local and state officials are really pleading for some kind of calm.
Yeah, Tim Walz, the Democratic governor of Minnesota, is urging people to be peaceful by making an argument, saying, look, don't give Donald Trump what he wants. And Walz says that Trump wants more chaos.
All right, that is Katie Simpson in Washington. Thank you. Venezuela's political uncertainty is back in the spotlight tonight after opposition leader Maria Corina Machado visited Donald Trump in Washington, presenting him with the Nobel Peace Prize medal she was recently awarded. Paul Hunter looks at what that gesture signals as Trump weighs Venezuela's future and her role in it.
Outside the White House, after her closed-door meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump, Maria Corina Machado is mobbed by a crowd of supporters in Washington. Machado, the woman many think should rightly be Venezuela's president, is in the U.S. Capitol for talks on her country's now uncertain future. She was given the Nobel Peace Prize last year, 15 months after her party won the most votes in Venezuela's presidential election. But when U.S. forces stormed into Venezuela 2 weeks ago and arrested Nicolas Maduro, the man who, say most observers, had claimed re-election fraudulently, Donald Trump effectively anointed Maduro's second-in-command, Delcy Rodriguez, as interim president, snubbing Machado. Said Trump then, Machado lacks the respect of the Venezuelan people. Says the White House now that's still the case.
It was a realistic assessment based on what the president was reading and hearing from his advisors and national security team. And at this moment in time, his opinion on that matter has not changed.
All of this on a day the U.S. has seized another oil tanker linked to Venezuela as the U.S. continues its push to control Venezuelan oil. While back in Washington, after a meeting with U.S. lawmakers, another mob scene from Machado. And word from Machado she'd given Trump a gift, her Nobel Peace Prize.
I presented the President of the United States the medal as a recognition for his unique commitment with our freedom.
A second-hand Nobel for a president who's long made clear he sure wants a Peace Prize. But will it make a difference in Trump's view of Machado? Trump has not said. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
European troops have begun arriving in Greenland as Donald Trump continues his threat to acquire the Arctic island. The White House says he won't be swayed from gaining control of it.
I don't think troops in Europe impact the president's decision-making process, nor does it impact his goal of the acquisition of Greenland at all.
The limited deployment to Greenland involves several European countries and the UK. France's president said the joint exercise would be reinforced in the coming days by land, air, and sea. And the White House is once again warning the Iranian regime tonight to stop its lethal crackdown on protesters or face grave consequences. But without action yet, some say that warning is hollow. As Yasmin Renea shows us, among those watching anxiously from abroad, there's concern it may already be too late.
As unrest grips their country, dozens of Iranians cross the border into Turkey and Iraq in search of safety. There is chaos in Iran, there is war in Iran, says Iranian Kurd Emran Kahir. It is unclear what will happen. Since protests swept through the country last month, Iran's government says hundreds have died. Human rights groups say the number is more than 2,000.
Negin Qadimi, 20 years old.
At the United Nations, this Iranian journalist names some of the young lives lost.
The list of names goes on and on.
Among them, according to Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand, a Canadian citizen who died at the hands of the Iranian authorities. A communications blackout leaving many diaspora families in the dark.
It's very stressful.
Iranian Canadians like Tila Akavin say they had high hopes after U.S. President Donald Trump threatened strong action if the regime harmed protesters, a move that has yet to happen despite the crackdown.
We cannot take this regime down by ourselves. We need help. We need a word help. We need help.
Do you feel betrayed by
Yes.
Donald Trump?
Yes, definitely, strongly.
The Trump administration says all options are on the table, dispatching the nearest aircraft carrier, but it's still about a week away from the region. In a social media post addressed to Trump, Iranian state media issued a warning of its own. You hit, we hit. As the U.S. weighs its next move, Iranian Canadians try to amplify the voices of protesters.
It's a responsibility for us. We are not there to fight on the ground, but we are here to do something else.
They say every second counts when lives are on the line. Yasmin Renea, CBC News, Vancouver.
Canada's skeleton team is now cleared of any wrongdoing by the sport's governing body after a complaint from an American athlete. Racer Katie Eulander accused Canada of sabotaging her attempt to qualify for the Olympics. Team Canada's head coach, Joe Cecchini, pulled 4 women from the North American Cup on Sunday. Fewer athletes meant fewer points available to qualify. Eulander says Cecchini called her, saying he did it to help a Canadian racer. The International Bobsled and Skeleton Federation concluded no rules were broken, but reminds all parties to promote fair play and ethical conduct. Well, home sales in Canada are down yet again, but many potential buyers still aren't biting.
Time is on their side, which make prices continue to fall as well.
The hottest and coldest markets and what's expected for 2026. ISS astronauts return to Earth in NASA's first ever medical evacuation.
Splashdown of Crew 11.
Why their mission was cut short. And 2 lab-grown diamonds to vastly different prices.
I think that's mind-blowing. It just shows that we overpaid for this stuff.
We're back in 2.
Undocking confirmed.
This is no normal return to Earth. This is 4 astronauts cutting their mission aboard the International Space Station short.
Endeavour crew, enjoy the ride home.
The first medical evacuation in NASA's history.
Dragon, SpaceX, we see splashdown.
NASA won't say what the illness is or which crew member is affected, stressing this was not an emergency.
The crew member in question specifically is doing fine.
But something happened last week, prompting the cancellation of a spacewalk and a sudden change of command. Now, the space station will have just 3 aboard.
You guys are awesome.
Until a fresh crew arrives. New numbers show home sales in Canada were down yet again to close out the year, but some predict that could soon change. Nisha Patel shows us how economic uncertainty and location can make a big difference.
After a sluggish 2025, Canada's real estate market is on shaky ground, and what you get depends on where you are.
We're expecting a 5.1% increase in sales in 2026, so not a huge increase.
Over the past year, prices have climbed in more affordable cities, up almost 7% in Regina, nearly 10% in St. John's, about 17% in Quebec City. But in big, expensive cities, the slowdown has been sharp, with prices falling 4.5% in Vancouver and more than 6% in Toronto. And with the average single-family home in those markets holding above $1 million, it's still a tough sell.
You can have a lot of first-time buyers come off the sidelines, but if all that's out there for them to buy is either too small or too expensive, you're going to have a problem.
Economists point to tariffs and a tough job market making many Canadians extra cautious.
Our view remains that there's going to be a gradual recovery, but we're not talking double-digit like pop in activity or anything.
That's giving buyers in slower housing markets more power to negotiate.
Time is on their side. They're waiting, they're taking their time, and which make prices continue to fall as well.
Many homeowners who have been hoping to score the lofty prices of a few years ago have been forced to adjust their expectations.
A lot of sellers are thinking, if I wait 6 months, I might get less money than if I sell today. And that is a very big shift in sentiment.
And experts warn any economic surprise, like new tariffs, could stall the market.
When people are worried, they're not rushing to make huge financial decisions.
A key factor for potential buyers, interest rates.
Many of them have probably been waiting to get the absolute lowest rate possible before locking in.
But forecasts suggest there will be no cuts anytime soon. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
A marketplace investigation is shining light on the lab-grown diamond industry and why it's important to shop around.
They might not get the same clientele that they used to if this is what's going on.
Why making the wrong choice could be costly. And after the break, Rosie's here with that issue with a lot to talk about.
Hey, Adrian, we are tonight. First of all, going to talk about the Prime Minister's trip to China.
I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
So what does this new dynamic mean for both countries? What challenges could arise from a reset of the relationship? Chantal, Althea, and Andrew are back and join me to talk about that and more.
Lab-grown diamonds are having a moment. They are cheaper, more accessible, and increasingly popular with buyers. But as demand surges, a CBC Marketplace investigation has discovered prices are anything but consistent. Asha Tomlinson shows us the same diamond can cost a lot more depending on where you shop.
How did you know, first off, that you were going to go lab-grown?
A lot cheaper. That was probably like the biggest thing.
We were kind of on the same page, so we're lucky that way.
Daniel Ng proposed to his fiancée, Olivia Chan, with a lab-grown diamond, and she helped choose the ring. They wanted a high-quality stone that fit their budget.
D color, 2.4-ish carats. It's between 3,000 to 6,000.
And if they went with a natural diamond, same specs?
At least 15,000, if not 20,000.
So that's a huge difference.
Yeah, crazy.
They're part of a growing trend. More Canadians are choosing lab diamonds over natural.
Today, it's probably you can get them for 90–95% less than an equivalent natural diamond. And it's an economy of scale business. So the more they produce, the lower the per unit cost. Okay. And this is why the price is dropping so precipitously.
To get an idea of the lab-grown landscape, we went shopping for bling online and bought two virtually identical stones. We purchased this one from Alibaba.com for around $230 all in. And this one from jewelry site Blue Nile cost us more than $1,600, 7 times the price of the other diamond.
I think that's mind-blowing. It just shows that we overpay for this stuff.
Identical, no difference.
Jewelry appraiser Eddie Young confirmed the stones are authentic. They're the same quality and should be the same price. And he encourages consumers to shop around. Sound advice, according to this bride-to-be.
People are going to start doing their homework, and they might not get the same clientele that they used to if this is what's going on.
Signet Jewelers, which owns Blue Nile, won't go on camera to tell us why their diamond was more expensive. Instead, they sent a statement maintaining they have strong sourcing standards and follow ethical, sustainable practices. Asha Tomlinson, CBC News, Toronto.
You can watch Asha's full marketplace investigation, Diamonds on a Dime, tomorrow. That's Friday at 8:30 in Newfoundland on CBC. Now, let's break down the news shaping our world tonight. Rosie's here with At Issue.
At Issue tonight, Canada-China relations. The Prime Minister is in China to reset the relationship.
Mine is the first visit of a Canadian Prime Minister to China in nearly a decade.
Mark Carney says this is part of his government's response to ongoing uncertainty in the world.
I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order. It's a partnership with new focus and greater depth and a sense of purpose.
So what's to be made of the partnership, renewed partnership between Canada and China? What does it mean for Canada's relationship with the U.S.? I'm Rosemary Barton, here to break it all down. We brought the gang back together again for the first time in 2026. Chantal Hébert, Andrew Coyne, Althea Raj. Nice to see all of you again. How things have changed since we last got together. Andrew, I'm going to start with you on this one. What do you make of the way the Prime Minister is positioning Canada in relation to China? It seems like we have been down this road before, where we try to reset the relationship and then something happens and it kind of falls apart. But what is your view?
Yeah, I don't think we should be looking to, quote unquote, reset the relationship as if we could go back to a time before the two Michaels. We've hopefully learned from that experience. We've learned that we're not going to have and shouldn't try to have the kind of robust, ever-deepening relationship, whatever the phrase we used to use with China. At one point, remember 10 years ago, people were talking about a free trade arrangement. That's not going to happen. We've learned that China is not that kind of partner. They're not going to become more liberal. There's a reason why relations went into the deep freeze. What's changed is America. What's changed is not that the threat posed by China, but the threat posed by America. And what makes the argument for a modest reopening, a very cautious reopening with all kinds of guardrails, is we need to diversify. We cannot be so dependent on the United States. So the case for making that modest reopening is to lessen our dependence on the United States without becoming overly dependent on China. So we've got to be, I think, very measured in how we approach this. We do not want to get ourselves in a situation where China can use that trade exposure as a weapon against us, as it has in the past. We've got to be prepared, in other words, to walk away from whatever access we get if things turn sour again. If, for example, China starts, launches an invasion of Taiwan or things short of that, we've got to be prepared to say, we're out of here.
Chantal, you went in there?
Yeah, the big difference between, trying to go back to the previous era and today is that whatever steps we take towards China, and I agree with everything Andrew said, I was never one who bought the rationale under Jean Chrétien with all those Team Canada visits that the more we engage with China economically, the more democratic it will become. And I'm glad no one is serving that up anymore, because we've been there and we know that that's not true. But the big difference is whatever baby steps we take stand to bring some retaliation from the country that used to be our main ally, the United States. And that makes everything even more complicated. Forget that public opinion in this country is a lot more skeptical towards China, as it should be, than it used to be. That the Canadian delegation is saying we are walking in this with our eyes wide open. But it's not the eyes wide open thing I mostly worry about. It's the behind your back United States reaction to it. In this current environment, but I don't think we have a choice but to explore options.
Yeah, I mean, that's the delicate balance here, Althea, the Prime Minister has to walk. He has to try and find new trading relationships because of the United States, but he doesn't want to anger them further or create another problem with the President.
I think Goldie Hyder from the Business Council of Canada called it a do no harm, suggesting that actually what Canada's #1 focus should be is on CUSMA, keeping CUSMA, renegotiating CUSMA basically as is as much as possible. And I think that that is probably why you actually haven't seen the movement that perhaps some expected to be announced during this visit. We're told that negotiations are still happening, and I don't know what will be announced tomorrow, for example, but from the MOUs that you've seen so far, it's pretty tepid, I would say. The relationships are thawing is probably the word I would use. Like they're taking stuff that were put on the back burner and turned off, basically, during the Trudeau era, an era where the Chinese actually had great hopes that big things could be accomplished because they love Pierre Elliott Trudeau and they thought that Justin Trudeau, nicknamed Little Potato, would bring them great things. And the thing with being in power is that stuff happens that you don't expect. Nobody expected the two Michaels to be kidnapped. Nobody expected this whole thing on election interference to emerge, that people would be talking about foreign interference at Tim Hortons. Yeah. And what struck me in the visit so far is that there's no discussion from Canadian leadership on values, the stuff that Andrew just talked about. My impression is this is business first, in the hopes that Canadian workers will benefit, of course, but the focus is on the business relationship. And what is striking is the stuff that has been shelved, even though they say, you know, that this is complementary to the 2017 MOU that Justin Trudeau signed. Actually, it's really not. The stuff that Trudeau signed was all about values and shared priorities on those soft things like climate change. Now you have Canadian officials actually saying, yes, we will reopen the oil sands to Chinese development if they want to come in. You know, this is it's very, very different government.
I mean,
very different priorities.
Yeah, and a very different prime minister who I will say in the interview I did with him before Christmas, Andrew, did talk about the guardrails that have to be in place with China, so you don't allow them access to, you know, artificial intelligence development or data clouds. So, I mean, he has some awareness of how far this relationship can go.
That's right. We've got to consider trade and national security together, and where they conflict, national security has to come first. What's complicates it even further, as I say, because the situation with the United States has become so dire, is that diversifying our trade is not just a trade matter, it's a national security matter vis-a-vis the United States.
Right.
And this is why I don't agree that CUSMA should be our first priority. We have no guarantee that Trump even wants one, first of all. Secondly, we can make all kinds of concessions to get it, and we've no assurance that he'll live up to his side of the bargain. Thirdly, even if he lives up to his side of the bargain and we get a CUSMA, what does it get used for in the future if we resume the kind of dependent relationship with the United States that we had in the past? With a normal U.S. administration, I wouldn't have a problem with 75% of our trade being with the Americans. But with this administration and with the signal that it sends as to what has changed, what is broken in America, then I think our safety, whether we're talking about China or the United States, our safety lies in diversification. Our safety lies in not being overly dependent on either of them.
Last minute to you, Chantal.
I totally agree. CUSMA, you've got a president that's going around saying he couldn't care less about CUSMA. And to make it an obsession and a goal is probably a strategic error. The other thing about China that has changed is climate is no longer a soft issue. China is the leading power on climate. And if we have an interest in climate, then we have some interest in getting along with China that goes beyond trade.
Quick last.
To be clear, there's nothing. There's nothing on climate in this agreement.
You don't need it to have it. You need to have.
I understand what you're saying. That is not where this government wants to take the conversation. That's clear. And I think I agree with Andrew, but I don't think it's clear what this government is doing. It feels like it's walking on eggshells with the U.S. administration, unwilling to chart a clear path away from it because it doesn't want to antagonize the unpredictable neighbor that we have behind us. And that, I think, is basically the cloud over this China visit as well.
Okay, we're going to leave this part here. Thank you all. Good to have you all back talking about things. When we come back, we'll take a look at the big domestic story of the week, the resignation of Quebec Premier François Legault.
I love the people of Quebec, and for me as Premier, it was the greatest honor of my life.
So what does the resignation mean for Quebec and for Canada? Could the CAQ see a rebound under a new leader? We've seen that story before. That's next. At issue, Quebec's political landscape. After months of dropping poll numbers and mounting pressure, Quebec's premier is calling it quits.
I can guarantee you that every single day I got up in the morning saying to myself, I want to do what is best for the people of Quebec. I didn't always succeed, but I can guarantee you that I tried.
But with an election this year, a rising Parti Québécois, what comes next for Quebec? Here to break down François Legault's resignation, what it means for Quebec's provincial politics, what it could mean for the rest of the country. Chantal, Andrew, and Althea, we will not surprisingly start with Chantal here. I was surprised. You probably weren't, Chantal, but tell us what this changes, because it does change things potentially very dramatically in Quebec.
Oh, it reshuffles the cards. Basically, you were in a kind of Justin Trudeau scenario, i.e. there was no way that most voters wanted to consider a vote for the CAQ and for François Legault again. The numbers, let me give you a sample from the latest poll that came out on Monday. 89% of Quebecers were looking at other options and 11% were left voting for the CAQ. And obviously, François Legault was a big part of that. Fatigue, unpopularity. For months, he's been the least popular premier in the country. A new leader, plus a new Liberal leader, because that also happened over the Christmas break. Pablo Rodriguez quit, and the Liberals are again looking for a leader. Basically means the cards are being reshuffled. It's too early to tell how, but I will just note that no, there's not a Mark Carney, a Quebec Mark Carney that anybody so far has found in the wings. But there is one thing to say about the PQ that makes it a bit like the Pierre Poilievre Conservative Party, and that is the most unpopular signature policy on offer in the next election is the promise of another referendum on sovereignty, with 2/3 of Quebecers saying, we're not buying that. So a change at the head of the governing party, a new Liberal leader, could that spoil the party of the Parti Québécois and allow it to lose on its promise? I can't tell that. But for sure, the odds that the election will be more hard fought than it would have been otherwise have increased tremendously this week.
And the reason I think it's relevant for the rest of us, obviously, other than we just care about these things and are interested, is because of that last part, Andrew, there, that a referendum is not something that Quebecers necessarily want, but it is something the Parti Québécois has promised. So, you know, figuring out how that might change things in terms of an issue set, I think is important for the rest of us.
Chantal says it reshuffles the deck. I think it throws the deck up in the air. Yeah. You've got now, in an election year, both the incumbent party and one of the traditional parties of government electing a leader at the same time. You've got 5 parties in Quebec now with at least 10% of the vote in the polls. So the splits are just impossible to foretell. You have this wild card not just of the promise of a referendum, but you also have the wild card of Donald Trump, which we've seen in the last months has upset everybody's apple cart. And whether people would be willing to go near a referendum, in particular when this kind of existential challenge is facing the country, is also an imponderable. I think not, but we'll have to see. But right now, the PQ is the party to beat. But the other problem the CAQ is facing is this is no ordinary leader they've just lost. This is their founding leader. This is the embodiment of the party for many years. Yeah. So losing him is not necessarily like losing Justin Trudeau for the Liberal Party, which has this, 150-year brand behind it that Mark Carney could step into. This is a very different situation for whoever tries to assume that mantle at the CAQ.
Yeah, there's a real question about whether the party can exist without François Legault. I think that's fair. Althea, give me your thoughts.
I mean, it could go the way of Brian Mulroney or it could go the way of Mark Carney, right? Like nobody knows. What's most exciting is that, I mean, everybody mentioned it. You have two political parties who get to hit the reset button and get to be defined by whoever they select as a leader. And I actually think for the CAQ, that's a great opportunity because it gets to, you know, hit the reset button for voters. Like, what is the party now? What are our priorities now? It can wipe the slate clean from previous issues that plague the government. And it offers, for the rest of us in this country, two federalist options. So that's like a good thing for Canada, I would say. Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, the PQ leader, also in the last 2 months has put his foot in his mouth. Some of you may recall how he was very critical, calling basically Quebec art groups traitors for congratulating Mark Miller, the new heritage minister, on his post. And some people, even who are friendly to the nationalist cause, were kind of questioning his behavior if he had the leadership chops required to be the premier of Quebec. And so I do think, you know, the headline is like, this is the worst week for him. Because again, I forget who mentioned it was like Pierre Poilievre. He has spent the last 2 years leading in public opinion polls. And it is true, 65% of Quebecers do not want a referendum and would not support a referendum. And so now you have to, maybe you don't like the Liberal Party and you think it's too Anglo and it's too West Island Montreal. Well, there's the potential of having a new leader that can, you know, give you an alternative option, kind of like Quebecers get to vote for the Bloc Québécois, even if they're not sovereigntists. There's like a none of the above option that has emerged that wasn't necessarily there before.
Last thoughts to you, Chantal.
Yes, and you know, everything that's been happening with the Trump administration since the year began is kind of playing against the Parti québécois in the sense that just it's anecdotal, but the anguish level, and I'm sure that's true outside Quebec too, but we're back to the anxiety level of last January, which was a time when the Trump thing was the big thing. Well, we are back at that, and to the point of would the Trump issue be a factor? I totally believe that if it stays at this level, people all week did not talk to me about François Legault. They talked to me about Greenland and Donald Trump. I'm not talking people like us. And that does tell you something about where people's minds are, and they are not on a referendum at this point.
And that's a very good throw, because we're going to talk about that in our bonus round on YouTube and the podcast. Thank you. That is it for At Issue on The National. As I said, we're going to talk about that threat on Greenland, what it could mean for Canada, and why so many people are talking about it. That is on YouTube or the podcast. Now back to Adrienne in Toronto.
Thanks, Rosie. Coming up, a trip back in time to another Toronto snowstorm that is still prompting ridicule.
It's only winter. It's just some snow. It's not...
The city's big, showy, and awkward idea, next in our moment. Most Torontonians remember this all too well, maybe a little sheepishly, because 27 years ago this week, 27 years ago right now, as a matter of fact, the city was under an oddly thick blanket of snow, so thick Canada's army was brought in to shovel. And the rest of Canada watched and laughed as the mayor called in the troops. I just happened to be the lucky reporter assigned to the story that day, so a little trip down an oh-so-snowy memory lane is naturally our moment.
The Army has agreed to help if we need the help.
This city is truly overwhelmed. That's why they are here.
Roger that out. We're not really equipped to shovel snow. This is a mess. It is a mess.
They shut down the office, so I'm on my way out of here.
Those left behind weren't shy about saying what the rest of the country is probably thinking.
It's only winter. It's just some snow. It's not...
I've seen worse in Montreal. I can't believe the city can't get it together.
Other major cities in Canada, like Winnipeg and Montreal, which experience at least as harsh winters or worse, consistently are just laughing at us.
Yes, this is Canada, and yes, it's winter, but in Toronto, this really is unusual.
This mess
Such a baby. I was a baby. And hey, listen, it really was 118 centimeters of snow. Like, that's the size of an average 8-year-old. So it was a lot. And to the 438 members from CFB Petawawa, thank you for coming to our rescue. From all of us at The National, thank you for being with us. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.